Good morning. Hi, my name is Brandon Brown, and I am coming to you all this good Easter morning, reflecting back on a journey that has been so very significant in my life. I'm very honored by the Christ Hospital and all of their constituents for allowing me this opportunity to just give a few brief moments of encouragement. I am a recent a kidney transplant recipient. Um, I just hit my 1 year anniversary on March 25th. Such a momentous occasion. And just to give a little bit of history about myself, I have been diabetic since I was 13. I found out after I started exhibiting symptoms, and my mother, who was diabetic, she kind of started to pay attention and noticed some things, and she immediately got me medical attention. And after evaluation and testing and all those good things, they found out I was diabetic. My journey as a diabetic has been very turbulent, like a roller coaster from hell. And a lot of it, as I reflect back at this point in my life, a lot of it was due to a lack of education on health, which is something that, as a licensed social worker, I am now working to advocate for people in urban communities, especially to gain more insight into what health really looks like and how health implications can affect us long term. So my story as a transplant patient is very significant as I go forth with speaking to others about this subject. So just to give a little bit of history, I was diagnosed with chronic kidney failure back in 2012, roughly. I'll never forget it. I was sitting in my home doing some random work around the house, got a phone call from my doctor who literally said, "We need you to go to the hospital right now." I had had some blood work done, and after receiving those results back, that was the phone call that was given. I called my wife at the time and told her the information, and I immediately rushed to Bethesda North that evening. And the next 10 days were pretty intense. I ended up in the ICU. I remember at one point bottoming out with my sugar, and literally thinking I was going to die. They got me, stabilized, and then they began doing emergency dialysis. And then from there, it was kind of a whirlwind. I ended up being on dialysis for approximately 8 years. And at first, I didn't want to pursue transplant. I thought it was unattainable. And that point right there is going to be important in just a few moments. I thought it was unattainable because I thought, with the information I was provided, that there was going to be so much work involved. How could I ever accomplish this? And at the beginning, in response to what was happening to me, I think those feelings were appropriate. But after a few years of being on dialysis, and after some time in negotiating through my personal goals and dreams, I decided, hey, I think I want to pursue this transplant. And fast forward through time, 2019 came, I made that decision, and then boom, the COVID-19 pandemic hits. So all through the year 2020, I worked hard. I worked very hard. I did all the preliminary testing. I went to all of the appointments. I began to work on my physical health. Yet another reason why the word unattainable is important. I began to work on my physical health. I started walking. Initially, it was walking with a friend. And then next thing I know, I was walking by myself. because it was important for me to lose the necessary weight to get to that transplant. Fast forward yet again, March 24th, 2021, I was sitting at work, and I'm a therapist, so I'm sitting there, I'm preparing myself to meet with the client, and I get the phone call. And they're like, "Hey, Brandon, we think we got a kidney for you." I'm in shock. Like, oh, wow, this is really happening. So I hung up that call, conducted my session, hurried home, ate dinner, and then later on that evening, I received a phone call, come to the hospital rather. Got to the hospital, less than 24 hours later, I had my transplant surgery. So why the word unattainable is important. Many things in our lives we look at as mountains. And I'm a man of faith. So in the scriptures, we're told that with the faith the size of a mustard seed, we can move mountains. Well, my philosophy has slowly and surely become, with faith the size of a mountain, what can I do then? Which then supports me in that thought that nothing is truly unattainable. During the course of my kidney journey, during dialysis, I returned back to school. I received my bachelor's and my master's degree. I wrote a book, and I also got my first career job as a therapist. So I just want to encourage somebody today. Wherever you are in your journey, just understand the word unattainable is not valid. And as I love to tell my clients, we often say think outside the box, but what I want to encourage somebody to think is there really is no box. The box is a construct, and we do not have to limit ourselves to a box. So I hope my story inspires someone. I hope my story reaches somebody's ears who is sitting someplace and thinking that, hey, my transplant isn't attainable. My financial growth isn't attainable. My relationships are unattainable. Whatever your this is, I sit here today, proof that with God, all things are possible, and utilizing the strength and the courage that He's given you, nothing is unattainable. So I wish you all the best. God bless you. And this is Brandon Brown signing off.